Today we'll be talking about vaccinations in dogs, right? It's very important. Every day people ask me what's the importance of vaccination. They want to know why they are paying so much for vaccination. And there's so many controversies around vaccinating dogs, especially at the end of last year when we had like a mini parvo epidemic in Lagos, and a lot of vaccinated dogs died. And people started asking questions about vaccination, why vaccinations fail, and a lot of that. There are a lot of terms that I'll be using, like vaccine failure and all that, because those are like the issues. First of all, every puppy is vaccinated to confer immunity and protection against certain viral and bacterial diseases that have no treatment and have high mortality rates. So that is why vaccinations are important. These diseases are not routinely treated. Most of them are highly infectious diseases. The chances of animals or puppies surviving them are very low. Sometimes some of them below 10%. It's like a death sentence for most dogs. So it's very important dogs are vaccinated. And more important, they are vaccinated well and by registered professionals that know how to handle vaccines. The vaccination routine for a puppy is the first dose or the first booster vaccination is usually given at 6 to 8 weeks old for every pup, right? The next booster vaccination is given 3 weeks after the first one. That's by 9. If you give at 6 weeks, you give at 9. If you give at 8 weeks, you give at 11 to 12 weeks old. And then the third booster is usually given a month after that. This is my own routine standard vaccination. But a lot of things come into play, right? These things are so important because if you don't know about them, sometimes your vaccination will not confer the right immunity, and sometimes vaccination will work against the immunity the dog is supposed to have. There is the concept of maternal immunity in puppies, where puppies through milk derive certain level of immunity from the mother. That immunity helps to protect the puppy till it is weaned off, till it stops sucking milk. Now, when that immunity is in a puppy and it's at high level or even moderate levels in a puppy, when that puppy is vaccinated with a normal 5-in-1 DHLPP vaccine, there are chances that the maternal immunity will neutralize the vaccine. Once that happens, the dog is no longer protected, even if he is vaccinated. That's the situation where I say sometimes if dogs are not properly vaccinated without adequate knowledge of how vaccines work, you might be doing your dog a disservice, because the maternal immunity can even help protect the dog. But once you introduce the vaccine, they cancel out the maternal immunity and the vaccination you are using. So in a situation where you don't know the vaccination record of the mother, you don't know whether the puppy was weaned at a certain age, and they are not sure of the level of maternal immunity the puppy will have. Now you have to use another type of vaccine for your first shot. It's usually called a high titer, low passage distemper parvo vaccine, DP. It's a bit rare, but it is available. So if you are in that situation, you can advise your vet that, I would prefer the dog be given a DP vaccine, because that DP vaccine, the high titer, low passage vaccine, has the ability to go hand in hand with the maternal immunity without both of them cancelling out. So it will protect against canine distemper and parvovirus for 2 weeks to 3 weeks till you give the second one. So at that point in time, if you give the high passage, the high titer, low passage puppy DP, as most of the time it's called, in 3 weeks you now give the regular 5-in-1 DHLPP vaccine. So that now serves as a booster, and then in another 3 weeks, you give the second booster of the DHLPP vaccine, right? So that way, most of the time, the dog is well immunized and it's well protected against most of these viruses. If I were to name them, in the 5-in-1, you have viruses like canine distemper, parvoviral enteritis, leptospirosis, and a few other ones, right? So the next vaccine a dog will take is the rabies vaccine. Most dogs also take some level of immunity from the mother for rabies. So rabies vaccine is not given till 4 to 6 months old for the puppies. And it's given once and is repeated every year in highly endemic areas like Nigeria, because Nigeria is an endemic area for rabies. So that is the set of vaccinations for puppies. A lot of people have also asked me, what are the price of vaccination? Vaccinations are not meant to be cheap, because a lot of times, even the cost of vaccine might be cheap, but the process of storing a vaccine in Nigeria, where you have a lot of challenge with lights, makes it a bit expensive, because vaccines have to be properly refrigerated or they will fail. So another thing is, when you are getting your dogs vaccinated, don't go to the open market to buy vaccine. Always consult a veterinary doctor that knows his what to tell you the sources of vaccines that would, at least from his experience, will do the job. Another thing people need to know is there are certain vaccines that over time, maybe because of the stereotype that were used in those countries, some of them have a reputation of constantly failing. So some vets, a very seasoned vet, can advise you that, okay, even if you want to cut costs, please don't go for this vaccine. Because nothing is more painful than you cut costs in vaccinating a dog and you do a bad job and the dog ends up dying from the disease because you're trying to save costs, So vaccines are not meant to be cheap. Every vet has his own prices of vaccine. So I'm sure if you save enough and you love your puppy enough, you'll be able to afford quality vaccines for your puppy, which is more important. Not saving 5,000 to 10,000 naira at the end of the day at the expense of your puppy being properly immunized against these viruses. So thank you very much. And I hope this piece of information would have gone a long way to help people out there know about these viruses, know about vaccines, and properly protect their pets against them. Thank you.